Okay, so today we're going to talk about the different supply calculations used within pharmacy. So, supply. So first, let's go over some common definitions that you'll need to know moving forward. A dose is the amount of medication taken at one time. So this could be 1 tablet, 2 capsules, drinking 5 milliliters of maybe a suspension, whatever you're taking at once. A frequency would be how many times a day you're taking this dose. A day's supply would be the amount of days that the medication should last for, assuming that you're taking the max amount. So always calculate day supply using the max amount possible. What I mean by that is a prescription says you could take 1 to 2 tablets. You would calculate using that 2. If it says take 4 to 6 times a day, you would calculate using that 4, because both of those things would lead to the patient taking more medication. So now let's go over some common equations that you really need to know. So first off, quantity to dispense. So quantity dispense is calculated by the dose times the frequency times the day supply. Which are all the definitions we just went over. So dose, amount you take at once, frequency, the amount of times you're taking it per day, and then the day supply, the amount of days it should last you. A lot of times, however, you won't even need to calculate quantity because it will be given from the doctor. So you'll see this by number sign and then next to a number. This number will be your quantity to dispense. Moving on. The next equation will be for the day supply. This is shown as the quantity to dispense over amount taken per day. Remember, for day supply, we always calculate using the max amount possible. And if it ends up being a decimal, we always round that down. Now, normally, if a number is 0.5 or greater, you would round up. Here, no matter what, we round down. We always round down to the nearest whole number. Next is the amount taken per day. And this we get simply by dose times frequency. We can also get this equation through, I'm going to bullet these just so it's obvious that we're working with different things here. The quantity dispensed divided by the day supply. Okay, so now let's move on to some examples. Okay, so let's just say the doctor writes a script that says okay, so what this would translate to, since this is a tablet or oral medication, we know that our action word will be take. So this will translate to take 1 to 2 tablets by mouth every 4 to 6 hours as needed for pain. We already know our quantity to dispense because it is listed. As I said, if you see a number sign, then that is the quantity to dispense. So here our quantity to dispense is 60 tablets. I'll write that here. Tablets. Okay. So now next is amount per day. I'm just going to abbreviate that. And then after that would be our day supply. Okay, so amount taken per day, remember, is dose times frequency. I'm going to be using this equation right here. And we always want to calculate these things based off the max amount. So here, take 1 to 2 tablets. We know that our 2 is going to be the max amount every 4 to 6 hours. If you're taking it 4 hours versus 6, it's going to be more. So 2 tablets would be our dose. If you're taking something every 4 hours, you're going to take it 6 times a day. So though it's every 4 hours, we would actually multiply this by 6 because that's 6 times a day equals 12. So the max that we could take per day, given the doctor's orders, would be 12 tablets per day. And now we need to calculate our day supply. So if we go to our day supply equation, the day supply is the quantity to dispense divided by the amount taken per day. So our quantity to dispense was already given. As you can see, 60. So 60 divided by amount taken per day be 12. 60 divided by 12 is 5. So this would last 5 days. So inhale 1 to 3 puffs 3 times a day would be what that would translate to. And we have quantity 1. In this case, we're not going to write 1 for our quantity dispense necessarily. just because in our day supply equation, this could get confusing. We could write 1 if we're just saying quantity to dispense. If someone just asked us, what do we dispense? We would just say 1 inhaler. However, just to make the rest of the math easier, so I'm going to write I'm going to write 1 in parentheses, just because we are dispensing 1 inhaler. But just for our later math purposes, I'm going to write 200 inhalations, because that's going to be easier for us later. So quantity dispensed would be 200 inhalations. Remember, but from before, amount taken per day would be the dose times the frequency. So here our dose at the max amount would be 3. So 3 times a day. So dose times frequency. So the amount taken per day would be dose times frequency. So that would be 3 times 3 equals 9. 9 puffs. And then the day supply. So going over here, remember that our day supply equation was quantity to dispense divided by amount taken per day. So remember the quantity to dispense, let's do it in puffs, that way it's all equal. Because if we just say 1, that's not going to work for our equation. So 200 inhalations or puffs divided by 9, which would equal 22.22. Remember, for day supply, we always round down. So that would be 22 days. So now we're going to move on to a drop-based problem. So since this is a drops, we know our action word is instill. So this would translate to instill 1 drop in the left eye twice a day. Now usually when we see a number sign in a number, this would be our quantity to dispense. However, since we have this unit right here in drops, we would have to make this in drops in order to calculate properly later on. So I'm going to take our conversion factor from our measurement sheet. 20 GTTS over 1 ml. So equal to what we're trying to figure out, which is how many drops is in 5 ml. Notice how we aligned our like units. Now we're going to cross multiply. So 1x equals 100. Divide both sides by 1 to isolate x, and then we get 100 drops. So now we can take this and replace it with 100 drops. So our quantity to dispense is 100 GTTS now we need amount per day. And we get this from dose times frequency. So looking at the equation here, we would see that we have 1 drop in the left eye twice a day. So our dose is 1 drop in the left eye. Our frequency is twice a day. So 1 times 2 equals 2 drops. And our day supply is the quantity to dispense over amount per day. So 100 divided by 2 equals 50 days. Now, let's repeat that same SIG code, but assuming instead of the left eye, we have both eyes that need drops. 1 GTT, both eyes, twice a day, 5 milliliters. So once again, we're going to have to take our quantity dispensed in milliliters and make it drops. So our conversion again, 20 TTS over 1 ml from the conversion sheet. That's our given. Set it equal to ml over trying to find drops. Cross multiply. We get 100 drops to add over here. Replace that with 100 drops. So quantity to dispense is 100 TTS. So the amount that you would take per day, once again, is the dose times the frequency. For this problem, because we're doing both eyes, our dose is a little different. So we have 1 drop for both eyes, so we have 2 eyes. So 1 drop for both eyes twice a day. So this would bring our amount per day to 4. Unlike the 2 from before when we were only doing the left eye. So now we need to do our day supply. Which is the quantity to dispense divided by amount per day. So $25 days. So one thing to note, with supply calculations, you're always going to be either given the quantity to dispense or you're going to be given your day supply. So in these examples, you were given the quantity to dispense, which is number and then your actual number. So number sign and then your number. Sometimes you'll be given the actual day supply. So for example, if you were given this, you would not need a number sign and then a number to know how much to fill the prescription for, because you have this 4 or 5 days. So that is your day supply. You don't need number. You don't need that. You can figure out this through knowing for 5 days. So let's go through it. This prescription would translate to take 1 tablet by mouth 3 times a day for 5 days. So 1 tablet by mouth 3 times a day for 5 days. So 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. So your quantity to dispense here would be 15 tablets. And we get this through multiplying dose, frequency, and day supply.